Welcome back, everybody. Hope you're all doing well. So, yeah, it's been a while since I did rants because had a lot of stuff going on last week and other weeks and whatnot. Stuff up here, Sometimes you just don't feel like ranting. Sometimes you just don't got it in you to rant. Sometimes you just need to skip a couple streams just to build up those rants. And last or over this week and whatnot and everything going on, well, yeah, I do got a few things I want to rant about. So yeah, also if you all want to join in, if you have something to rant about, something that's not personal issues with other people or Twitter drama, if you got something like entertainment or movie based or politics based, there's the link to join in the live chat right here. So yeah, you can all join. The rules are simple. You don't interrupt people. You stay on topic as best as you can. I'm pretty sure I got the rants somewhere here. Yes. No personal drama. Keep on topic. Try not to interrupt. Respect other panelists. Violations of any of these will result in expulsion. And also, if you got something to rant about, or rant about it here. So, yeah. And I got a couple of things. First, Star Wars. You see, folks, a lot of people are like, oh, they're getting called transphobic for being against this transgender clone trooper in Star Wars called Sister. And I'm sorry, I just don't believe that these people who created this character 2 years ago, apparently, and who gave any real thought to this character, I don't think they did their research. Because if you actually know your lore, like I do, if you actually paid attention to the movies, like I did, if you actually paid attention to the books, like I do, you know that if there's any sort of aberrant quality to the clones, they would be terminated. And if you do hear anything in the background, I do apologize. I do have echo cancellation on, so there shouldn't be any problems. But yes, my heater for this room came on, so I do apologize. But getting back to the Star Wars stuff, we need people to start really gatekeeping, but we need to do it smartly. I mean, you don't have to insult these people. While yes, some of them absolutely do deserve some sort of ridicule, specifically if they are thinking that transgenderism in humans works in Star Wars. It doesn't. The Kaminoans, a lot of people like those long-necked aliens and all. They're so nice and this and that. The Bad Batch did a good job at making them look like, oh, they're good guys. They must care a lot. No, they don't. In fact, the Kaminoans are pretty twisted. In fact, they would kill members of their own species simply for having green eyes. Yeah, they consider that a very intolerable mutation. Yeah, I bet you all didn't know that, did you? Those people who are creating transgender stormtroopers or clone troopers or whatever the fuck, saying, oh, I don't think they would accept me and all that. You're right, it wouldn't. You want to know why? Because you are an aberration. You are a mutation that has no use to the battlefield. If they, and believe me, they would have found out that mindset of that defective clone. Yes, I'm calling it a defective clone. This sister clone. It's a defective clone. So yeah, I am going to call it for what it is. Defective. And the Kaminoans would have terminated it. They would have isolated and searched the genetic markers of that clone, found out why it had some sort of gender dysphoria, and then they would have terminated it because it doesn't provide any quality towards the battlefield, which are what the clones were bred for. Sorry, folks, in the LGBTQ community, you don't know shit about Star Wars if you think that sister's representative, sister's awesome, sister works in Star Wars, and you're just a bigot if you don't like it. No, you are mistaken. If you knew anything about how the Kaminoans are and were created by George Lucas, and when he allowed the movies to, or the books to be written about these characters, you would know that these characters would, or had a very huge ego. The cloners of Kamino, they took their jobs seriously. That Clone 99 in the Clone Wars by Filoni, another failure. They wouldn't have kept it alive out of pity. They would have terminated it. Clone 9 should have been terminated, or should not have existed in the show. It just goes to show how much Dave Filoni doesn't give a flying fuck about lore. But there are bigger channels that, they're free to have their own opinions, but they somehow think that the Clone Wars was actually a good show. And they continue to say, oh, well, Ahsoka's also pretty cool. It's like, no, I'm sorry. But if you would pay attention to the movies, the established or the rule establishing movies, episodes 1 through 6, if you pay attention to those 6 movies, they are the movies that create, that establish the lore, the rules, and all of it. And their novelizations should also be considered. And yet, the Q-tip heads do the genetic but not the trans. Yeah, exactly. Hater source, and good to see you, by the way. No, because I tried doing a Beetlejuice, or I did a Beetlejuice one by request, and it didn't get a lot of views. So I am not going to return to reviews. I am not Orange Hat Reviews. I am Orange Hat. And hello, Rant Kitty. It is always a pleasure to see you in the house. If you have anything to rant about, or if you want to come on, the link is up above in the chat. Feel free to join. I believe, yep, it's right here. But yeah, folks, transgenderism in Star Wars, it doesn't work. Now, yes, you can have the non-binary species in Star Wars. You have changeling species that are actually non-binary. The ones that helped out Clan Scarada, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, in the Republic Commando books, were a non-binary species. They could be either, or actually they could be both male or female, which is the rule about all changelings. They could be male or female. However, they don't really have, or that particular changeling species doesn't have a particular gender. It can mimic both male or female for mating and whatnot. And they do have mates, yes. But they don't really have, or until it's time to copulate and reproduce and whatnot, they don't really have a gender specific to their biology until it comes time to actually reproduce. But then you also have the Mandalorians, which the clones are technically Mandalorians. They have a non-gendered language. Oh, wow. They even have LGBT characters in Star Wars. And Medrit Vassar are gay lovers, husband and husband. They own a farm together and raise one hell of a kid. There's an old Mandalorian saying, train your sons to be fierce, train your daughters to be or more fierce. Train your kids or train your sons to be skilled, train your daughters to be dangerous. That would be my paraphrase of it, essentially. But yeah, this crap with transgender clones and we need to accept that there is that transgender people like Star Wars. Nobody is saying they can't. However, as it is dictated by the lore, transgender clones can't exist. They would be terminated. Before they even got out to become a soldier in the Grand Army of the Republic, they would have been terminated. As well as the Hunchback. Clone 99. Yo, Demogenide, good to see you, man. And alrighty, that's okay, right? But yeah, if you guys want something to rant about or want to join the rant, get on in here. But yeah, the Kaminoans were perfectionists. The first 100 batches of clones were mostly failures. All the way up to 99, he was a failure. Most of those clones were terminated, with the exception of 6 null arcs. Out of the 12 that were created, 6 of them survived because Cal Scarata told the Kaminoan that was about to kill him, I believe it was Kosai, that if he went anywhere near him, he'd fillet her. He would skin that Kaminoan alive, which ended up being the Kaminoan's, post-death fate, because Zhang Scarata skinned her and wore her skin as gloves. Yeah, that's how fucked up the nulls are. Which the Bad Batch was designed, or which the Bad Batch were created from. Yeah. People often forget that Karen Travis, one of the best writers for Lucasfilm or for the Lucasfilm story group, she created the Mandalorians. She created their culture, their language, their race. She provided a history for them. And that language would also go into the game Star Wars: The Old Republic. Yeah. And yet people are like, well, look how good the Clone Wars was by Filoni. It sucked. If you watch from episodes Attack of the Clones to Return or Revenge of the Sith, you see there is no behavior from Anakin that suggests he had an apprentice, that suggests he had a Padawan. Not to mention that very important line, my powers have doubled since the last time we met, Count. According to the Clone Wars by Filoni, Count Dooku fought Anakin a week before the events of Episode 3. A week. 7 days. Anakin is very much egotistical, folks. However, he's not that egotistical. Saying, oh, my powers have doubled since the last time didn't I fight you like last week, kid? And still wipe the floor with you. So, well, Yeah, this is going to be easy. It doesn't make sense. If you pay attention to the movies and then to the shows, they don't work. But people are like, oh, they're so great, this and that. No, they're not. Now, if you like it, I'm not going to hold that against you. You can like what you like. I'm not saying you can't. But I am going to ask that you at least have the integrity to admit your show that you like is very, very flawed. The original trilogy and the prequels are not perfect. The episode 1 movie, very bad CGI. Yeah. Even with revisited stuff. But yeah, it's just, oh, I look back at what Star Wars was, the books that I enjoy still to this day. I mean, I'm still reading the Dark Lord trilogy. And I look at what Star Wars is now. Fucking transgender clone troopers. Uh, does he or they? And shit from the Acolyte. I'm sorry, folks. Pronouns were not a glass ceiling that was shattered by Disney. He, she, and it. It is a pronoun. It is a pronoun identifier in Star Wars. And that was in the EU. Gay characters, lesbian characters, all that shit was already in Star Wars before Disney or Filoni ever had their corrupt hands all over it. And it's just absolutely bonkers that people are not. I mean, there are those who are fighting against it. There are those who are standing against it, and that is great. I mean, I know you don't like Clone Wars 2008, but it looks like Shakespeare in comparison to current Star Wars. True. I mean, sure, it has entertainment value. I will not deny that, Riot Kitty. I will not deny that. The Filoni show and that movie that they did as well, it has entertainment value. It's not Star Wars. A lot of people don't like or I have defended the prequels, including that line that says, I don't like sand and whatnot. Believe it or not, that line is defensible. Everybody's like, oh, that was just terribly written. It's an awkward 19-year-old with poor social skills crushing on his girl or crushing on a woman, and he doesn't exactly know what to say. So, yeah, he's going to say some weird fucking shit. He's 19. His fucking hormones are all over the place because he hasn't seen this woman in 10 years. Now, folks, Star Wars, it's Star Wars changed the way that we looked at movies. In 1977, George Lucas changed the way movies were made, changed the way people looked at movies. He did such a job that it almost killed him, by the way, after that movie came out. He had to go to the hospital. And he saw a doctor, and the doctor said, you're having a heart attack because of all the stress you put yourself through. That's why he didn't direct episodes 5 and 6. Because, well, yeah, he got Irving Kershner to do 5 and Marquand to do 6. And they did a good job with Lucas at the helm to help those two. It's like I want this, but you got to get this, you know. And to see what he has done become what it is today, it hurts. It breaks my heart. I will always love what Star Wars started out as. I will always remember how I felt when I watched it when I was 2 fucking years old. On the floor in my dad's living room, watching the tape of the entire trilogy. How I felt when I saw Darth Vader for the first time. How I felt listening to the music. Seeing 2 suns in the sky. Seeing death on the screen. Not knowing how to feel about it because, well, it was impersonal at the time. I don't remember I remember the experience of watching it, the feelings I had when I saw these movies when I was very, very young. But yeah, right. It it is Star Wars, just like the prequels. It does have a few flaws, but it still fits what Star Wars is. Um, no. If you're talking about Filoni's Clone Wars, no, it doesn't. It doesn't. I mean, we'll agree to disagree there. Uh, my first memory, yours was when you were 4. Mine was when I was 5.5 months old. It was a memory that was confirmed by both parents that they couldn't understand how I remember it, but they confirmed the action happened. What happened in that memory happened. A hallway, a door opening, and a black family. That's all I remember from months old. My next memory was when I was 2 or was yeah, when I was 1 or 2 years old. Uh it was my dog in a yard tied up. My next memory was Star Wars, the feelings of the film. And then the memory after that was I was 3 years old, learning how to spell my name with the letter magnets, the white letter magnets on a refrigerator. Those are my earliest memories. But yeah, the ones about Star Wars when I was 2 years old, it's because it had such an impact. When James Earl Jones passed away earlier this month, yeah, his voice was the first voice that wasn't related to me that I latched onto, that I had paid attention to, that I acknowledged. And that came from when I was 2 years old. Mine was my grandma and I running through to get rain ponchos at an animal kingdom. Nice. And, well, there's a continuation there. But yeah, when it comes to Star Wars, I will defend it vigorously. I will talk with people who are also Star Wars fans. I will also try to explain to some of these people who disagree. It's like, I'm sorry, but if you look at this lore that has already been established, you would realize it's impossible. Some people are actually receptive, some are not. The ones that are not, I have no patience for. Unfortunately, folks, my mind is slowly going. My memories and whatnot, I can't, or it comes to a point where I can't remember certain words. When I have those awkward pauses during streams, it's because I'm literally searching for a word that I was about to say, but it literally just got smacked out of my memory. And I have to scramble to find it again. So, yeah, that's a problem for me. And then I lose my train of thought. And then it's like, where the fuck was I going with this? I've noticed that in my videos where my mind or I was about to say something and then I got off on a tangent and then I didn't revisit what I was about to say, you know? And just splashing in the puddles laughing. And yes. Rest in peace to your grandma. Right. But yeah. So if y'all haven't noticed, I have been having those problems. Memory slips is what I call them. Where I am thinking or where I'm talking and I can't remember a dang word. It upsets me because a person like me who has always been movie oriented, who has a lot of great vocabulary, drives my mom nuts that I have the extensive vocabulary that I do, but I'm losing that vocabulary slowly and it hurts. It makes me feel lesser than I am. And when I see Star Wars essentially fading, because a lot of people are like, well, you still have the old content. Yeah, sure we do. But then we also have memories of the new content that we absorbed. And sometimes it ruins the experience. Sometimes I wish I could forget watching the Disney content and the Filoni content because it just hurts the experience of watching Star Wars. A friend of mine, we all know and love on here, if you're in the community, you know his name. He doesn't watch Star Wars anymore because he's constantly reminded of the crap that they did. Hey, Kronos, good to see you. Kronos, good Titan. Yeah, from the Greek myth. Uh, but yeah, I sometimes watch Star Wars to see if I can get back some of that original feeling that I had. And then we had the falling out with some of our friends in the community. And I hold nothing against them anymore. I've long agreed. Oh, you only missed one part of the rant. I still got the political side of the rants to go through. But a lot of people, but speaking of politics, because politics also does play a small role in Star Wars, people love to say that the prequels were based on the Bush administration. And they love to say that, yes, it was George Lucas speaking out about the Bush administration. And I'm thinking to myself, what sort of mental retardation are you referring to? I understand the feeling. I can't watch the first Ruby seasons anymore because it just makes me sad because I know where it goes and how bad the characters become. Yeah, yeah. But when it also comes to that was before I got into politics. Thing is, Kronos, I was a kid when 9/11 and the Bush administration and all that happened. I didn't pay much attention to the politics. I didn't pay much attention to politics until like 2006, 2007. Then I became a Democrat. I was young and dumb at the time. Switched over to Republican shortly after 2012 and went from there. But I only am registered Republican because the state of New York doesn't allow you to vote into smaller local elections if you are voted or if you are registered as an independent. So, yeah. But when it comes to Star Wars, everybody always loves to say, "Yeah, the or the prequels were based on politics of the time." No, they weren't. A republic that fell to an empire that became an empire. Last time I checked, we're still a constitutional republic. Sure, we gave up some of the freedoms that we had, sadly. But get this. Um, when it comes to a republic, that falls to an empire or that becomes an empire. Have you ever heard of Rome? Yeah, the Empire of Rome. There once was an idea, and it was Rome. That Rome, the historical Rome, that became a very vast empire that spanned many countries. Yeah. That's what Star Wars Episode 3 was an allegory of, or was allegorically inspired by. Wasn't inspired by Bush. People who think it was are fucking ignorant. I don't know about my history, but I know Rome exactly. If you know anything about history, about Rome, you knew that it became complacent. It became decadent. People didn't want to do much after or during that time of decadence. And so shit started to go down. People stopped wanting to do things and they went on the dole. And then politicians got power hungry. And then the Senate surrendered power to the Caesars. So yeah. Sounds familiar, doesn't it, when you add a Star Wars context to it? Hmm? But yeah, keep saying that that Star Wars was based on politics, and whatnot, and it's like, well, the original movies were based on Vietnam and whatnot. The original movies had inspiration from Vietnam. They also had inspiration from World War II. They also had inspiration from other historical events. Shit, a little bit of Star Wars, or some of Star Wars, was also inspired by Tolkien. That great evil. How there were two Dark Lords at one time. Melkor, who became Morgoth, and Sauron. Oh, guess what? There's two Dark Lords of the Sith. Son of a bitch. The Emperor and Vader. Huh. Ain't that something? Instead of being in the final episode and ending the show there, shout out to Shadowverse Flame for doing this for some dang reason. You're welcome. What about RoboCop? I'll rant about something in chat. When you bring back a character who is declared legally dead in a character's tragic backstory, make sure you explain why they're now alive and well instead of being in the final episode and ending in the show there. Shout out to Shadowverse Flame for doing this for some dang reason. What about RoboCop, Kronos? Oh, were you guessing what what Riot Kitty was saying? I'm guessing that. But yeah. But getting over to the political side of it, folks, there was another fucking attempted assassination of President Trump. Yeah. Thankfully, it was prevented. But the fact of the matter is, this person had fake press credentials, tried to pass himself off as a Trump supporter, but was caught with an unregistered firearm. Or an illegally obtained firearm, actually. And this guy was arrested. Federal charges, I don't think, have yet been brought, but this man has been released on a $500 or $5,000 bail. This man had complete intent to kill a former president, and they fucking put bail, or they allowed bail. This was in California over the weekend. California is a communist country, or is a communist state. Honestly, folks, if I was president, I would tell the governor of the state of California, you are going to be investigated for treason. For one, you invited the leader of the Chinese Communist Party into our country without letting the federal government know. Federal government found out when the people did. Not only that, you hired a Chinese national into one of your local municipalities' election boards. That person was not an American citizen. So, yes, I would have Gavin Newsom investigated for treason because technically, under the legal status of what treason is, where you have abetted a foreign country to the detriment of the United States, that's treason. And Gavin Newsom has committed it when he hired a foreign national to serve on the electoral board in a state municipality. What also pisses me off is the fact that I can't even listen to the news anymore without listening to any or without hearing any sort of objectivity. Fox is a bloated fucking mostly right-wing horse shit, but also with a lot of left-wing shit. Fucking everything else, CBS, NBC, ABC, fucking CNN, and all that shit. I can't stand listening to any one of them, of their primetime hosts. The second I hear Joy Reid's mouth, I turn the fucking, or I get rid of that window online. I get rid of that window on my computer. The second I hear anyone from The View, those cackling ghouls, those filthy fucking degenerate bitches from The View, the second I hear any one of their fucking voices, I turn the video that I'm watching off. It's come to the point where I can't even watch one of my favorite channels, Black Conservative Perspective, because a lot of the shit, when I have to fucking listen to blatant lies, malicious lies that there's no accountability for, it drives me insane. It fills me with enough anger that I have to check myself. That I actually have to turn shit off, take a few fucking breaths to make sure that I'm not about to have a fucking heart attack or stroke. Because these people, yes, they're entitled to their First Amendment rights. Never going to say that they can't say that shit. But the thing is, you can be held accountable for what you say. And when you are spewing malicious and intentional lies, that is what's known as defamation. They should be held to that account. They cannot hide behind the freedom of the press. Oh, well, we're allowed to report on what we want. Yes, you are. You are absolutely right. But when you are also being directed by the federal government, you're no longer under a free press. You are now an unfree press. You are now a slave to the government. You no longer fall under the protection of freedom of the press, as far as my opinion is. That is why we actually need something like a press or an ethical press committee or a committee for ethical press reporting. Or we just need to basically have the government state unequivocally that when these people are reporting on, they are completely labeled as opinion only because they are not reporting facts. And then there is going to be an emergency broadcast after their news report, which will debunk what they are saying with actual fucking facts. Believe me, if the government started doing that, oh, did it in a way that wasn't weaponized, I guarantee you the media would start respecting journalistic ethics once again. But right now, as it stands, I can't stand listening to them. Those pieces of shit on CNN, that Joe Scarborough and his trampy wife, who admitted it's not Trump's job to influence people, it's our job to influence them. What the fuck is wrong with you? It's not your job to influence people, it's your job to inform them of the truth, the unbiased truth. And yet you continue to fucking lie. You continue to incite violence against a political candidate. As far as I am concerned, you should be arrested for that. Freedom of speech does not protect incitements to violence. And that second person that tried to take a shot at Trump that was caught before he could at the golf course, he was parroting words spoken by Kamala Harris herself. She should also be federally charged for inciting violence against a political opponent. And that is a valid federal charge. And yet, nothing's being done. I told people what should fucking happen after you start seeing the collapse of society. It's been going on for fucking years. No one's willing to step up. Me, I know my limits. I can't step up. But people are unwilling to follow what it said in the Declaration of Independence. When a long train of abuses and usurpations evinces a design pursuing invariably the same object, it is their right, it is their duty to throw off such government and provide future safeguards for their future security. In other words, it is up to the people to discontinue government that is corrupt. We have a full-blown corrupt government. And yet the people are still just willing to let the shit continue going on. After this election, folks, if Trump loses, this country is fucked. I want you all to realize just how fucked we are. Our country will most likely go to war with itself. And if that happens, a lot of people are like, oh, civil war, this, civil war, that. We should have a national divorce. You people are retarded, whoever you are that say that, because yes, I have heard it. And yes, Tim Pool has also spoken about, oh, civil war, civil war, civil war. Motherfucker, do you even know what would happen if a civil war broke out in this country? While we're busy fighting each other, while we're busy taking shots at the government and whatnot, and the government's retaliating against the people, guess what's going to happen? Our enemies overseas will be emboldened. China, the Middle East, Russia. Russia will destroy Ukraine. China will completely obliterate Taiwan, and then they will send invasion forces over here. North Korea just might get a little bit ballsy and actually launch an ICBM because of the instability. And due to the fact that we're all fighting each other, we're not going to be able to fight them off because we're going to be in a weakened state. But yeah, people continue saying that you should, or that we should secede certain states. There should be a secession. You out of your fucking mind? There should be a national divorce. Are you fucking retarded? There's going to be a civil war. If there's a civil war, there's a world war, and we lose. Everyone will fucking die if a civil war breaks out in the United States. But yet nobody wants to fucking entertain that notion because, oh, we're afraid of or we're afraid of what YouTube is gonna say. Good thing I'm not monetized and I don't give a fuck about monetizing. I will not monetize on YouTube because I believe things need to be said in a blunt fashion where you don't beat around the bush. You tell people what they need to hear, not what they want to hear when it comes to important things. Yes, that is what Monday night rants are for. That is what Orange Hat Uncensored on Fridays is for. Is to give you guys my more uncensored, unfiltered thoughts on world events. And believe me, I'm not fucking happy about it. Indeed, a lot of people will come for many countries' asses. Yeah, yeah, you're right. Folks, ugh. Hmm. It's to the point where let's see here. Okay, I haven't had my stream pulled, so that's good. But yeah, it's to the point that shit needs to start happening in more extreme ways. I know a lot of people are saying there's a process, you got to follow it. What does that fucking process what has that process fucking worked for the last few years? Look at how it's being abused. What is it going to take for us to finally say enough is enough? Now, folks, don't get me wrong. I am not inciting. It is not my intent to incite. I do not condone any incitement. But what is it going to what is the limit of the American people? What is their limit to where they will finally say, all right, fine, enough is enough. We're fucking done with this shit. Time to stop this government. But yeah, it's I seen this shit coming from fucking years away. I saw it happening years ago. I can't exactly explain how it's not psychic. It's feelings. I have very bad feelings that this shit's only gonna fucking get worse. And I follow the threads of possibility of where that shit might lead to. And yeah, erosion of our fucking political system, erosion of our freaking law system, erosion of a lot of other shit. And then it fucking happens, and it's like, why didn't anybody else who are smarter than me see this shit happening when I did? And then when I fucking did say it back then, they're all like, oh, you're nothing but a fucking extremist. You're nothing but a fucking idiot. And this shit's not going to happen. Then it fucking happens. And I don't go to these people and say, I told you so. No, I'm like, you know what? Fuck it. Fuck you and fuck everybody else because I'm sick and tired of seeing this shit happen. So I'm just going to fucking sit back and let it happen because there's not much I can do by myself. You know, I'm not a leader. I'm not a leader. I know it has to happen, but nobody is willing to do it. And people don't realize that they actually have the legal right to do it. That's the thing. Y'all don't even know what rights you have. You, it's the power of the people. We, the people, a government by the people, for the people, or for the people, by the people, of the people. You don't even know what fucking rights you have. You don't even know the power that you have. You have the power to stop it and you won't. Congratulations, Democrats. You fucking made the people of the United States lazy fucking cunts. Those are my rants, folks. 50 minutes. Wow. Those are my rants. I'm going to chat with people that I care about after I get off here. Possibly watch some TV to kind of just wind down, cheer myself up. And thank you to everybody in the chat and on X. Share my shit out. That's the best way to spread the word. Best way to get my channel. I'm trying to get to 2,000 subs. I'll be happy if I get to 1,600 before the end of the year. But if I get to 2,000, I'm doing a giveaway for you all. And it's it's a pretty nice thing for y'all. But anyway, folks, thank you all for tuning in. Kronos, Riot, Damajanai, Vanya, and those who are also watching Hatersaurus on X. Tomorrow, while I'm thinking of it, tomorrow is werewolves, horror movies and werewolves, or werewolves of horror and whatnot. The one from movies that I've seen. I haven't watched The Howling in its entirety, so I won't be using that or a specific werewolf. But I will be discussing other werewolves and such, like from Skinwalkers, Van Helsing, The Wolfman, Silver Bullet, and them. I'll be doing that 1 p.m. tomorrow morning or tomorrow afternoon. And then there's the Barroom podcast from Society Reviews at 9 p.m. And thank you all who tuned in. Y'all are freaking awesome, folks. Werewolves? Yeah, I know, right? But yeah, thank you all so much for tuning in. Please, folks, wake up. We're not in the Matrix, but the Matrix has us. Because the Matrix in this instance, it's the government. But yeah, y'all have a wonderful night. Always remember, stay humble.
Are you done? Are you done?